Hi, my name's Will Meredith. I'm one of the librarians at Royal Roads University. This is a tutorial on how to use a Statistics Canada research tool called Nesstar. Nesstar enables you to conduct detailed searches of StatsCan surveys and then save your customized results into an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that, but before I do that, I want to talk about when you don't need Nesstar. You don't need Nesstar if you're looking for fairly general numbers. For example, population counts or income distribution in a designated area or numbers of people traveling in and out of Canada. Questions like that can be answered in CanSim. CanSim is a simpler tool. It's freely available from the StatsCan website. So you can simply Google CanSim, C-A-N-S-I-M, and navigate that way. You can keyword search or you can browse by category. If you need help understanding how to use CanSim, we have a tutorial linked from the federal tab of our Stats and Data Guide. So why don't I show you that guide now, because it also is a pathway into Nesstar. So what we're looking at here is the Royal Roads Library homepage in the spring of 2017. We have a link here to statistics and data, so I'll click on that. This guide is broken down by jurisdiction, province, federal, international. Statistics Canada is a federal service, federal agency. So the tools that link you to StatsCan are on the federal Stats and Data Guide. So CanSim, you don't need to go through the guide to get to CanSim. You can simply Google it, Google CanSim, and you'll have the same access. However, if you wanted to look at a tutorial on how to use CanSim, then we do have one linked here. This tutorial is about how to use Nesstar. And Nesstar is a password protected tool. So you need to access it through the library homepage because you need to log in with your Royal Roads username and password. I'm on campus, so when I click on Nesstar here, it's going to route me right through. But if I were at home, I would be prompted to log in with my username and password. Okay, so for this demonstration, I'm going to pretend or be playing the part of a student looking for surveys who asked respondents about the quality and the quantity of their sleep. So when you're looking for stats or data, you need to be a little flexible in what you are looking for a number of reasons. So being interested in looking for surveys related to sleep is specific enough. The first thing we want to do is we want to go up here in the top right corner where it says Search DLI Variables. DLI stands for Data Liberation Initiative, which is just an arm of Stats Canada. So we're able to search across all kinds of StatsCan surveys. And so we are interested in surveys that have to do with sleep, or at least survey questions that have to do with sleep. So I'm just going to do a search, nice and simple, for the word sleep. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a really good way to filter your search results in Nesstar. What you can see down the left-hand side here are the various surveys that have asked respondents about their sleep, or where sleep has been mentioned either in the question or in the response. So one way to zero in is to pick a particular survey that you think will meet your needs. Now, I've done this already, so I'm going to click Canadian Community Health Survey. And so now what we're seeing, these down the middle part, well, the main part of the page are questions and answers that have to do with sleep. Now, number 7 here caught my eye. It's the frequency with which people find sleep to be refreshing. So I thought that was an interesting hook. It's a good question. It speaks to my topic. So what happens now, if you click on that, what happens is you leave this search tool that allows you to search across surveys, and you land in one particular survey. And you can see we're looking at the variable, the number of people, the frequency with which respondents find sleep to be refreshing. Okay, so we can see here that 42, almost 43% of respondents found that sleep was refreshing most of the time. So that's interesting. Over here on the left, we can see the other categories of questions and answers that people gave in completing this survey. And so you can compare the frequency with which people found sleep to be refreshing to other things. For example, alcohol use. Or what else do I have here? Changes in health, CIH. So if you exercise more, do you sleep better? Or and then also I found food security to be an interesting question. Distress. If you are stressed out, does that mess with your sleep? And you can see there are many different categories. So you pick one and you start to play around and you start to explore. So once you've spent some time on the left figuring out what variables you might want to compare sleep to, you go up here to the Tabulation button. I click on Tabulation. And I can go back now on the left and I find that sleep variable, the frequency with which people found sleep to be refreshing. Now the refreshingness, can I say that, of sleep is the dependent variable. We want to know how sleep is impacted by other variables. And so dependent variables typically go in the column. So I'm just going to add that to the column. So there we can see our responses. If you want, it's hard to read tables like that. So you can go up here to the top of the screen and you can turn it into a bar chart. You can turn your results into a bar chart. So you can see most of the people, most respondents found sleep to be refreshing most of the time. A certain number of people found it all the time. So there's the spread. Okay, so now we want to compare that to something else. So for example, perceived mental health. I'm going to go back up here. Perceived mental health, I know from poking around, is found under the general category. So if I select perceived mental health, I click on it, and I'm automatically given these options. I've already put the refreshingness of sleep in the column, so I'm going to put perceived mental health in the row. That's kind of hard to read. Certainly it's interesting and it's comparing the two, but you can play around with how you want that visualized. A visualization that I like is a stacked bar chart. So just with one click, I've turned it into a stacked bar chart. So you can see the people who find sleep to be refreshing. People with excellent mental health find sleep to be refreshing. And if you have more difficult, if you have more mental health challenges, then you find sleep to be less refreshing. So that's one thing. Now, if you wanted to change that, if you wanted to compare the sleep to something else, you could just turn off the mental health category. So I'm going to remove it from graph. And what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to look at food security. So if I click on the food security option, you can see there's all kinds of questions that were asked, all kinds of answers provided around food security. But I'm going to pick food security, adult status, and then see that D there. That means it's a derived variable. So the response, the value that's given to the food security is derived from other answers that respondents gave about skipped meals and eating less than they feel that they should. Those answers are codified automatically and turned into a derived variable. So it's a variable that's derived from other answers. Okay, so I'll click Add to Row. Should make another stacked bar chart because that was the last thing I did. And now we can see that people, the more often people who live with the greatest food insecurity have the greatest problem sleeping. They report the lowest level of satisfaction in their sleep. Okay, so you can play around. You can explore. You can turn off variables. You can turn on variables. You can go back up here and turn your results into a table again. And if you find, once you find what you want to find, you can click on the Excel button here to export it. It offers to open it in Excel, so I'm going to do that. And there are my results. I have to play around with the column width a little bit so that it displays properly, but then I can use the visualizations within Excel and generate those same visualizations that I had in Nesstar. So I hope that that helps. If you have any trouble with it, go back to the Railroads Library homepage, which is what I'm going to do here. And let me go back to the homepage. And there's a link here that says Ask the Library. So if you have any questions about how to use Nesstar, you can click on that link and send us a question. And we are pretty good about getting back to you. We get back to you within 24 hours. I'm recording this in the spring of 2017, and we have a little bit of spotty reference coverage, librarian coverage on weekends. But generally speaking, we get back to you within 24 hours. And if you have not heard from us within 36 hours, then you're welcome to just drop us a line or maybe give us a call, use a different mean of communication. Give us a call, find out if we got your question. Sometimes we get swamped and it does take us some time to get back to you, but we are committed to quick turnaround and pretty much always get back to you within 24 hours. That's it. I hope that helps. Let us know if you've got any questions. Thanks.